I'm starting to think, now that I'm playing the game and I'm getting up to these higher things, I'm starting to think that every person who's beat the game and is like, yeah, don't take resistances, they're bad, is just huffing some crack or some shit. And then they're just playing the game like, as they're dodging everything. Cause like, you get hit by one thing, you fucking die, you pick up a 20% poison resist, and then suddenly the poison puddles don't matter anymore. Like, the resistance, it's weird. It doesn't give you what it says it gives you. It's something, the numbers are stupid. I will admit that. I think all they need to do, make this a little bit wider, just a smidgen wider, or just make it to where when you hover over it, yeah, that's it. When you hover over it, when I hover over cold resist, it should say, well, where it says cold resist 31, and then it should say like parentheses 50 or some shit. Like whatever it is for me. I wonder if do I have any resistance gear? Any gear that happens to have resistance? Because that's like the real weird thing is whenever you gain fire, 33% fire resist. All right, I'm at 59. We take this off, I go to 40. So like, if you have 40 and you gain 33, you'd expect to be at like 70, right? So that doesn't quite make sense, but it was 60. I don't know, 30% is gonna be what? 12? That would be 52. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. 60 times 0.3 is 18. 60 minus 18, that's, it's 42. No matter how you play with these numbers, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Diablo 4 damage calculate. Armor and resistance examples. So the relationship between armor and resistance may seem complicated. It's much simpler when you start looking at examples. The game will have these two values. Against elemental attacks, your damage reduction is split between your armor and resistances. So you take 100 fire damage and have 50% armor and 40% fire resist. The value will half both of those and reduce the damage taken by that amount. That just means armor is like overpowered as fuck. If your armor applies to fire and stuff, then like I don't need to worry about those resistances at all because I have like 9,000 armor. That's dumb as hell. It doesn't make any sense. Well, I'm debunked. Yeah, and the one guy's also wrong. And this dude wrote a whole article on it with proof. Look at the proof. Look at it. He's proving it with an example. Except this is the thing. I don't accept. I annoy the shit out of people because I'll just ask them. They'll state something. I'm like, are you sure? This guy just stated this so confident. You take 100 fire damage, this is just gonna happen. I'm like, how do you know that? How do you know that? Armor has a mitigation cap of 85%. That's good to know if it's true. If it's true, who the hell knows if it's true? So this is trying to explain this shit. All right. This is trying to explain why the numbers don't add up whenever you add 33% to 40. All right, let's read this. Maybe this will make sense. Resistance values can be scaled through jewel implicit modifiers on them. Jewels and fixes on your body may add resistance. Amulets boost all resistances on all characters, while rings only boost a particular type. Unlike armor, jewelry doesn't have a hint beyond item level. Doesn't have a hint beyond item level 725. Similar to how affixes work. What do you mean? Doesn't have a hint? That doesn't make any sense. All right. Resistance can be gained by armor modifiers, paragon boards, yada yada. Yeah, I don't care about how that works. For the scaling math itself, drag suffers from diminishing returns. Drag. Each time a resistance type is added via a source, a new value is multiplied by the previous resistance value. For example, if you have 50% fire resistance and an amulet says 25%, it doesn't add up to 75. Right, of course, you multiply it. That makes sense to me. They give you 62.15. That makes sense, except it just doesn't. It just doesn't. It doesn't do that. We have 40%. We have 39.4. We're adding 33% to it. 39.4 times 1.33. 52. Oh boy, this is gonna put us at 52 fire resist. 59.
2,000 years later.
All right, let's think. Let's stop pushing keyboard buttons and use that damn brain. I tracked to that, and so then I was trying to see how, like percentile-wise, how effective it was. So what is 1.6 of 2? It's 80. I don't know how I got a 6. Maybe I mistyped somewhere. Because this is what I was thinking. It's 80% effective, not 60% effective. So, all right, 2 times 8, and then we just add the 18.5. All right, now we got this coefficient here. What if the armor is also only 80% effective for some fucking reason? So we have 80% of 33. If we have 80%, and we're just additive. Maybe I'm just fucking around. Okay, we don't know if this is how it is, but so and then we just add 0.8% of this. What does this give us? This gives us 46. Does this fucking go to 46? Damn it. 46.5. There's an 80% multiplier on it. Exact. There's an 80% multiplier on the armor that we're adding for some reason. All right, there's an 80% deficit at level 52 for some reason. It is exactly 80%.
A few moments later.
I apparently don't like fire resist rings. All right, this one. This is just 6% all resistances. That's fine. This will work. So this is 6. Done together. Oh, no, 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 no. If it's a different bucket. Okay, I see, I see. If it's a different bucket. Okay. Chat, GPT-4, new chat. Trying to solve Diablo 4's resistances. I'm trying to figure out how Diablo 4 resistances work. I have a base 18.5% resistance to fire. If I add 2%, my resistances becomes 20.1. My resistances go up by 1.6 to be, yeah, 20.1%. I remove the 2% back to 18.5 and then add 33% and my new resistance is 45.4. Can you explain, please graph the expected results up to 100? Currently, we can see it represents as a point on the graph, adding 2% resistances to horizontally to the right by 2 units. Vertically, the resistance is increased by 1.6, bringing it to 20.1. Going back to the base resistance of 18.5 and then adding 33 corresponds to moving the unit to the right 33. Vertically, the resistance increases approximately 26.9, bringing it to 45.4. The graph is a simple representation of how resistance percentages change based on the amount of added resistance. Remember that the values provided are hypothetical and may not reflect in Diablo 4, but it gives you an idea of how resistance progression could look. What would you expect the resistances to be if I add both? It expects it to be 58. That's what it thinks. It actually became 46.5. Wait, what? Yeah, they do. The values you provided in your initial question suggested a different outcome. Yes, they did. All right, let's do this. What if that 2% could be in a different bucket? So maybe the 2% shit. I think we should try it again, but use this amulet and this armor piece. For instance, it's pulling the fucking data from that one guy, from that web page that we read. So this information's all shit. I am trying to figure out how a game does their magic resistance. Please help me. I will give you specific data points and hopefully you can extract a functional formula. My intelligence gives me a flat 18.5%. When I add just my armor, which gives me 33%, my new total resistance is 45.4. Now, I will take off the armor to go back to 18.5 and then add a ring, which gives me 6.6. And my new value is 23.9%. When I add both together, I have the ring and chest armor together, I have 49.0%. All right, let's see. Can you find a formula that explains those values? Based on the information provided, it seems the game does not simply add the percentages together, but rather there's some interaction between the pieces of equipment and intelligence. Let's denote the resistances as R. It contributes from the intelligence, which is 18.5. The contribution from the chest armor is 33%. The contribution from the ring is 6.6. Given the data points, we have I plus E equals that. I plus R gives. Dude, this is fucking cool. All right, this is fucking sweet. Holy shit. The potential model for this resistance source is applied to the remaining unresisted part of the magic. So if you already have 18.5 resist, the 33% from the chest piece is applied to the remaining 81.5% that is unresisted, and so on. Oh! Okay. Let's see these equations explain data points. It seems like the model correctly explains the provided data points. So the formula for the total resistance with both the chest armor and the ring equipped would be whatever that is. It is important to note that this is hypothetically based on the provided data. To confirm this model, it would be necessary to test it with more data points given combinations of equipment and intelligence. Also, it's worth mentioning that sometimes game mechanics can be much more complicated than a simple formula, including various hidden stats or caps on resistances, among other things. Okay, so that when we found that 81.5, that doesn't make any fucking sense. No, it doesn't quite check out. Because all right, so we have like 100 minus 18.5, which gives us that 81.5. And that's how that worked for that one, right? So that checked out. But then whenever we fucking added the 2%, it didn't take 2% of 81.5, it took 2% of 80, unless maybe it's such a small difference that it doesn't show up. So let's see here. 80 times 0.02, that's gonna be the 1.6, but then if it's 81.5 times it, okay, all right. So it might have just been too insignificant. The 3 got dropped. All right, so that successfully explains it. If that explains it, then we are looking at 51% right now, and we're going to add a 2% resistances to this whenever we add this on there, which would be 1.2. So we're expecting this to go to 51 or 51.1, somewhere in there, depending on how the hidden numbers are when we add this 2%. Went to 50. It's fine. Yeah. Okay, now we're going to add 8, which we would expect to go up by 4. We're going to add 12, because I have the bonus. We're going to add 12. Or it isn't dropped at all, and it's kept in the future. Yes, that is probable. That is very probable. All right, so we now have 49, and then we're going to add the 12 to it, which would be 5.8, and we're adding that to, what are we at, 51? So we're expecting it to go to 56.88. That 02 is coming in clutch here, so it'll be 56.9, potentially. Somewhere in there. Whatever. Fuck it. That's about where we're expecting this to go. This fire resist. Fuck! It doesn't make sense. All right, let's update ChatGPT. I added another ring that has 21.8% resist, and just like your current formula shows, it went up to 60.1. Now there is an external stat called Paragon, and I believe that it may be in another bucket altogether. With all things added, so a starting point of 60.1, I will now add 2%, and it goes to 60.9. I bet you these add together and calculated at once. I bet you that's what fucked us up earlier. So I added it as 2, and then I'm adding it as 12. I bet you I should just add it once as 14. I bet you that's what's going on here. Let's see. This is exciting. Oh man, I haven't had fun with math in a long time. This has been great. I just added 12, and that actually sounds like it's still adding off of the missing resistance, like the armor. Now I will add 12 more resistance from the Paragon, and the new value went from 60.9 to 64.2. I would have expected the 12 there to have gone up 4.6 to 65.5, I try, potentially the Paragon points are added all together and calculated at once. That would be putting 14% onto 60.1, which I would expect to be roughly 65.6. Can you figure out how the Paragon resistances are being added into the equation? Please consider that it may be in a different bucket. It's good to see that the previous model is holding up with additional ring. The fact that they added Paragon resistance does not seem to be calculated in the same way indicates that it might indeed be in a different bucket as you suggested. Dude, this is fucking crazy to me. All right, if we consider the Paragon resistance to be added in a separate step after the equipment and intelligent resistance have been calculated, and if it's also being applied to the remaining unresisted part, then we would have an additional term in our formula. Let's denote the total Paragon points as given what you've added, the 2% Paragon resistance to the total missing went from 61 to 69, and then adding 12% more, it went from 69 to 64.2. We have the following equation. This matches with the expectation that the 40% Paragon resistance is applied to the 60.1% resistance would be roughly 65.68, which is close to the observed value of 64. No, it's not. No. However, it's slightly lower, which might be due to some other factors in game mechanics that we don't know about. As with the previous model, this is just a hypothesis and would need to be tested with more data points to confirm its accuracy. It's also possible that the game uses some sort of diminishing return or cap. All right, it might be diminishing returns. I can see that happening. So the way we're gonna test this is we're gonna drop back down to the base value. I agree, it may be diminishing return. I will remove all armor to go back to 18.5 base resistance from int. This thing's smart enough, fuck it. I'm just gonna say int. I was saying intelligence because I didn't think it would know earlier. At 18.5 and 2% from Paragon, the resistance is, I guess I better take off the shit, huh? It is nothing! 18.6! How is it? What? What the fuck? Oh, my gloves came off. Ha. Whew. Whew. Woo! The gloves came off. All right. No, okay. I was like, what the fuck? Thanks for providing more data. This suggests that when Paragon resistance is added, it's not just applied to the remaining unresisted part after intelligence, but possibly in a way that includes some diminishing return mechanism. Solving the equation for K gives this result that is complex, which is not physically meaningful in this context. This suggests that either there's an error in the data or the model is not correct. Another possibility is that the game uses a more complicated formula calculation. Could you provide more data points, particularly with different amounts of Paragon resistance? That could help in refining the model. Please consider the possibility that Paragon points are counted in each individual addition. So now I am adding 2 and then 2 again. And the resulting value, I feel like Bruce Almighty, is 21.5. That's a good explanation for how Paragon resistance is calculated. If you were adding more Paragon resistance in separate additions, you would add more terms to the formula. Holy shit. Each term represents an individual addition of Paragon resistance applying the remaining unresisted part after all three resistance have been applied. This is a hypothesis. It would need to be tested more data points. Please write in English. The question is, how do these limits get affected by world tiers? Yeah, I would assume that the diminishing returns, I mean, this is clearly an assumption, as it was prefaced with I assume, but I would think that the diminishing returns would kick in after. So it's like, it's got like your armor calculation times your world tier penalty, and then if that is above a certain value, diminish it. When I go up in difficulty, it says the monsters overcome 20% of my resistance, and then shows my new value. My new value is at 36.9. Are the monsters taking off 20% of my resistances resist after the calculations or before? So we're at 46.1. Yeah, so if we go 46.1 times 0.2, that is 9. So we go 46.1 minus 9.2, and that puts us at 36.88, which is where we're at if it has a rounding error. So it takes, it is multiply the 20% by what you get. The reason why I was asking is because that would make our resistances better. It is doing it. Okay, cool. Yep. Sweet. It's just taking my final resistances minus. Yeah, I think that I already know. I'm just gonna tell this so it knows. It looks like it just took 20%. Took 20% off of my final calculation. Yep. Sweet. It took us a little less than an hour to figure out how this works. Holy shit. That only took us close to 2 hours. Fuck me. Look at numbers so long. Oh, Jesus Christ. Ah.